After India considered sourcing cheetahs from Somalia, Tanzania, Sudan and other nations closer to the northern hemisphere to avoid biorhythm complications, yet another cheetah has been found dead at the Kuno National Park. Namibian Cheetah Pawan was found lying lifeless near the edge of a swollen stream with the front half of the cheetah's carcass, including the head, submerged inside water. No external wounds were found of the carcass, but the exact cause of the death will only be ascertained after the post-mortem. The death marks the second fatality in 3 weeks after the death of a 5-month-old cheetah cub on 5th August. With the death of Pawan, the Kuno National Park is now left with 24 cheetahs, including 12 adults and as many cubs. Just weeks ago, the Madhya Pradesh government had refused to provide information about the management of the cheetahs that were brought from Africa and other cubs. Now, this petition had been filed by wildlife activist Ajay Dubey. In 2022, India took a historic transcontinental mission to revive cheetahs after they went extinct in 1952. And how did Kuno aim to keep cheetahs safe? Well, there was a 24/7 mobile medical unit with 3 vets that was constituted along with dogs, drones and intensive patrolling on ground. But questions continue to be raised about the viability of the Project Cheetah, especially since the cheetahs seems to be losing its footprint in India, not gaining them. Given the present circumstances then, is it wise for India to pursue the Cheetah project and translocate more cheetahs from the northern hemisphere? Well, let me take that question across to our guests who are joining us this afternoon. I'm joined by Ravi Chellam, who is a wildlife biologist and conservationist scientist. And I'm also joined by Mr. Ajay Suri, who is a wildlife expert and wildlife filmmaker. Good afternoon to both of you. Thank you so much for taking your time and joining us over here at Now. Well, my first question will go across to Mr. Ravi Chellam. My basic question essentially is whether at all, is India at all a cheetah-friendly nation? There is, of course, a lot of fanfare. There is a lot of celebration to try and revive the cheetah project. But the temperature, the habitat, the terrain given in India, is it at all suited to continue with the cheetah project, or should there be a rethink?
I would rephrase the question, because the project is based on extremely poor science. As you know, 70 years ago, we had wild cheetahs in India. So India as a country does have habitat, but currently we just don't have sufficient space. Cheetah is a low density, wide ranging species. Unless we have 5 to 10,000 square kilometers, it is completely untenable that we can even hope to establish a wild, free-ranging population of cheetahs. We've been pushing the envelope, saying it's an experiment and so on and so forth. If it is truly an experiment, there's no reason to hold these cheetahs in captivity for this long. For 2 years, majority of the time, these cheetahs were spent in captivity. They might have as well spent it in Africa. What is the point of getting them to India, holding them captive this long? So it's poor science, it's unrealistic conservation goals. It's also based on false premises that Africa has a surplusing population of cheetahs and India has sufficient space to accommodate these cheetahs. Africa does not have a surplusing population. It actually has a declining population of cheetahs. And as I've already told, India just does not have sufficient habitats to host a wild, free-ranging population of cheetah.
Well, I would expect Mr. Ajay Suri to respond to that. Well, primarily what Mr. Chellam is saying that, yes, it is a land that can support cheetahs because initially they were very much part of the 1950s. But right now, it's a poorly planned project. Do you agree with it? Because it appears that regular deaths that are being reported at the Kuno National Park, irrespective of biorhythm, there wasn't even a cheetah in the captivity. He was released. He was a free-range cheetah. But even he died in the nullah, is what we're going to understand. Given the present circumstances, do you think there is a need to modify the Project Cheetah?
To need for course correction, but I do not agree to a number of points which were just raised a few minutes ago. For the simple reason, I do not belong to the camp which says that this project Cheetah is going to succeed or is going to fail. I believe that you have to give time to this project Cheetah operation. We are talking about translocating a species from one continent to another. It's not like growing a tree where the results can be seen within 6 months or 1 year. And as far as creating more space for cheetahs, the last I heard, Kuno is not going to be the only place where cheetahs will live. The government of India has already zeroed in two other places. One is Govardhan Sanctuary, which is a huge area in Madhya Pradesh, and secondly is Bunny grasslands, which happen to be, one of the largest grasslands in Asia. So you have to give time to this project. You have to give time to the cheetahs. And secondly, let's not, each and every death of cheetah should not be taken as some kind of a doomsday affair. Because even in the wild, let me tell you, everybody knows that in the wild, the mortality rate of a cheetah cub can be as high as 80%. And right now, in 2024, we have got 12 cheetah cubs in Kuno, which is not a bad news at all. So I belong to a camp which says that let's give some more time to this project, a couple of more years, and then see where it goes from here. I'm not going to form my opinion on the basis of a few deaths, because I believe that this entire project Cheetah, a lot of planning had gone into it. And let me also tell you that even before this Cheetah brought in, say 15 years ago, moves were afoot to bring cheetahs from Iran. So even then, a lobby was active that, yes, we should bring cheetahs to India, because for thousands of years, India had been a home to cheetah. So this program has just started, man. It's just 2 years. It's too early to write a cremation note for Project Cheetah.
Okay, point taken. What Mr. Ajay Suri is saying, that perhaps more time should be devoted. They should be given time to adapt themselves to the newer habitat is concerned. But Mr. Chellam, the reasons of the death are also very precarious. Some have died due to septicemia. The others have died because the nullah wasn't really guarded around this time when Pawan died. His body was found over there. Do you think adequate steps are not being taken to ensure the basic safety in the Kuno National Park is concerned? Because yes, this project wasn't really started under the present government. It has been an ambitious project started by the Environment Minister back in the day when Ramesh had undertaken it upon himself. There is a fight as far as political appropriation is concerned. But what steps are really being taken on ground to ensure that the cheetahs remain safe at the Kuno National Park?
Well, I'm just befuddled by what the other panelists said. Cheetahs are still being held captive. So where is the conservation? He talks of Gandhi Sagar, not Govind Sagar, and Bunny. And you're building enclosures. So this is not about wildlife conservation. It's about being glorified safaris. And he talks of cubs. These cubs have zero conservation value. Captive bred cats cannot be released. As I said, this is riddled by poor science. When you have poor science, it doesn't inform management. The narrative has been changing. They said they would release it after monsoon last year. They were not released. They said Gandhi would be ready by end of 2023. It has not been ready. So we really don't know what is happening. Suddenly there was the story about fur growing in Indian summer. So when you are all you're doing is trying to explain, trying to defend yourself and not listening to science, and why should we invest in something which is bound to fail? Let's not also forget the 2013 judgment of the Supreme Court, which clearly said lions need to be translocated into Kuno and said cheetahs should not be brought from Africa. Having that judgment, you ignore that and bring cheetahs from Africa? I mean, how does that even make any sense? And captive breeding is not conservation in a wildcat and in this case, cheetah scenario.
Well, Mr. Suri, you've heard what Mr. Chellam had said, that it's a poorly planned science, and that is the reason why it is not advisable to constantly keep translocating cheetah. What the Supreme Court initially said was that lions should be tried and relocated, is what he's saying. This is a land of tigers and hyenas and lions. Do you think the government has got a sense of misplaced priority over here?
No, not really. In fact, yeah, you're right. The lions were supposed to be brought to Kuno first, and that's why of villages were relocated in the 90s. Now that's another issue altogether. Let me also tell you that these cheetahs are not meant to be confined in captivity forever. Already news is coming out that, some of these cheetahs would release. So obviously it's going to be a process. It cannot happen in just 1 minute or 1 day. And when you're already, zero in other places, such as, Gandhi Sagar Sanctuary and Bandi National. So you are acting on some kind of a plan. So why put your foot down and say that this is bound to fail? I fail to understand this logic, because eventually these cheetahs will be released, but obviously when this was made, it must have been thought that, okay, we are going to release them after a few months or 2 years. So I do not know the logistics of the plans. I'm not privy to these discussions. But as a wildlifer, I still say that you have to give more time, not only to for the project, but also to give more time for course correction. If tomorrow we come to know that, okay, this approach has been wrong, then let's give us the freedom to change our course. But to veto the whole project from the beginning, I mean, I know for a fact that even before these cheetahs were brought from South Africa and Namibia, a whole group of naysayers was active on the media, social media, everywhere. And they were like clamoring from, rooftops as to why this project cheetah is bound to fail.
Yes.
The fact remains that you already have, 12 newborn cubs, you already have plans where you want to release the cheetahs in the wild. So all these things are going to take place, but they will need some time, sir.
Point taken, Mr. Ajay Suri, and we appreciate you joining us over here and taking our time for us. Mr. Ravi Chellam and Ajay Suri, but the only last line that we would want to wind this discussion with is at the hands of giving more time, we can only hope that there are no more casualties as far as the big cats are concerned. Well, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us over here at Mirror Now.